Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being prompt and on time. It's 6:33, and I really want to be mindful of people's time, so I will call our meeting to order. Um, We'll start with old business and getting reports from our chairs, and if any of our presidents are on, want to give updates to the community, we'll start there as well. Um, Brother Isom, would you like to, one, introduce yourself to our state members and also give an update for criminal justice?
Yes, Madam Chair. My name is Anthony Isom. I'm part of the Greater Huachuca Area Branch here in Sierra Vista, and I'm pleased to be with you all. I'm the continuing Criminal Justice Committee Chairperson for the state conference, and again, I'm glad to be here. We have been offline for a little while, but I'm pleased to say that we're back. And when I give my report, I can give you a little bit more of an update on how that's going. So, Madam Chair, would you like my report now or?
Yes, please.
Yes, this is the criminal justice report for the Arizona State Conference. The Criminal Justice Committee convened on the 10th of April of this year, and our objective for that first meeting was to reorganize and get our feet back under us as a committee that is monitoring and hopefully watchful regarding the criminal justice matters concerning the people that we uh, choose to support. The state conference, the Criminal Justice Committee members present included East Valley, represented by Michelle Rose, West Valley Branch, uh, represented by President Larnell Farmer, Maricopa Branch, represented by Princess Lucas Wilson, the chairperson of that CJ committee. Tucson branch, we have a new member or new criminal justice chair in charge of the activities in Tucson, and his name is Curry Hale. Yours truly, Anthony Isom, the chairperson for the state conference as well as the Greater Huachuca Area Branch, and our state legal advisor, Diane Post. The committee hopes to get criminal justice representation from the branches in Yuma and Flagstaff, but that undertaking is in progress. The committee has decided to convene monthly via Zoom on the fourth Wednesday of each month, and brief activities that each criminal justice at the branch level is focused on is included herewith. West Valley, there was a video of a police shooting in Scottsdale that is being under the investigation is being undertaken, and Brother Farmer, Larnell Farmer, is on top of that. Missing person in Buckeye, Mr. Robinson. This person has been missing for years. His father has been here looking to find, the whereabouts of his son. His car was missing, but found, and he's still no trace. And that's a tragedy that lives in the heart of all of us. No update on the police investigation in the Buckeye area. Maricopa, we have a report of a police shooting in Phoenix. and police chief is apparently resigning. I don't know if it's because of the shooting or public outrage or what. Maybe his tenure is up, but I'm given to understand that he is resigning, and a police beating of a deaf person has occurred, but the result is that the police officer is only receiving light punishment because of that. Tucson branch reports that they have participated in hands-off, the hands-off protests that are going on. That's a question I brought up. You know, if the national organization is endorsing the NAACP participation in the hands-off protests that are going on around the country. But there are several members of the Tucson branch that have participated not representing the NAACP. And that won't happen until we get confirmation that we are all in the same boat with that and that we are in support of. Because my opinion, for what it's worth, is that we're all going in the same direction. I've heard a lot of people say, wow, you know, this is their fight. They didn't support us during the civil rights movement. Why should we support it now? But the issues surrounding these protests are common to all of us. You know, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, Veterans Administration, book banning, the education department being eliminated, and all of that stuff. So my position is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I've said that before. And I think that, and I will continue on a personal level to support these protests as long as they're going in my direction. Because the civil rights protests of the 60s, we have a new generation now, new generation of people that are thinking differently than those people before. So until we get confirmation one way or another from the national office, I'm going to uh, still join hands with those people that are going in the same direction as me. Uh, Greater Huachuca area, as I just mentioned, I participated and a number of our members participated in the hands-off protest. I attended a virtual discussion of Know Your Rights and how to survive a police encounter that was hosted by the Honorable Tamika Wooten. That was like last week, and it was a very informative discussion that took place. Something that should be common knowledge to everybody because police are pervasive all in our community. How should we interface with the police in our community? And as I've stated to our state conference chair in the executive committee, that I am a member of an organization here in Sierra Vista, well, Cochise County, I should say, called CABLE, Community Advisory Board with Law Enforcement. And that way I keep in touch with all of the law enforcement agencies, Tombstone, Sierra Vista, Fort Huachuca, Benson, as well as the FBI, as well as Fort Huachuca military posts, and that way we have a seat at the table regarding what's going on criminal justice wise. Our legal advisor, Diane Post, uh, reported that no suggested legislation, that's to say the bail reform and the restoral of voter rights to the formerly incarcerated that we put forward to the state legislature has survived to receive a hearing. And it looks like we'll be starting that initiative again next year. And she also reports that police chiefs are resigning, but no reason was given why that's happening. The following bills are currently in the state legislature that we should be looking at. HCR 2037, prohibited weapons definition repeal. Uh, it, I could go on to just explain what these are. Submitted for vote removes the definition of prohibited weapons, so bombs and poison gas and shotguns are no longer a crime to make and to keep. Uh, Opposition is encouraged for that bill. HB 2658, expungement of misdemeanor convictions after 3 years. We urge you to support that. SB 1294, Marana prison lease by the Arizona Department of Administration. The lease for a prison in Marana, Arizona, to the United States for $1 a year for detaining migrants. We urge opposition for that. And HB 2378, juvenile restoration rights, gun and civil, lowers the age from 30 to 25 to restore gun rights, and change requirements from simple passage of 2 years to complete all the conditions, probation, and discharge. That measure has passed. So that concludes my report. Again, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to see so many people that are online, and God bless you all. Does anybody have any questions for me? Well, thank you very much. I'll mute and I'll listen to
I'm
my
sorry, I have
brothers
a
and
question.
sisters.
Can anybody hear me?
Miss Yo-Yo, you have a question?
Yes, I have a question for Sir Anthony. For the actual meetings, you said it's the fourth Wednesday of every month. Um, how can I find those meetings as well? We can't hear you, sir. You're muted, Sir Anthony.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's okay.
I mean, that was a knee-jerk reaction to mute my computer. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Could you restate your question?
I said um for the fourth week of the month, where do we actually go to the meetings? Is it virtual? Is it
Yes. Sorry, I didn't
okay,
mention it. It is virtual, and
okay.
it will convene at 6:30 on the fourth Wednesday of every month. And if you'd like, I can certainly distribute the Zoom link to everybody
Yes,
that
please. Yes.
Yes,
know.
brother Anthony, if you could send me the Zoom link, I can make sure that it goes out in the newsletter. That way everybody can attend who wants to.
Okay.
Thank you, Sir Anthony.
Thank you. Did anybody else have questions for brother Isom? Okay, hearing none. Just a quick few clarifications. National did do legal redress training a couple months ago, and I think there's another one coming up. And they talk specifically about the protests. We know protests are going on all across the country, and National has not given us the directive that as the NAACP or any of its branches that we can participate yet. So we do encourage you to go to those as individuals and make sure that you're safe and make sure that you're vigilant. We want to make sure that all of you are able to go home each time that you participate in those. And if any of those directives change, we'll make sure that we let everyone know. And then the second thing that I wanted to update you all on is that while Miss Diane Post has been with the NAACP for a very, very long time and has done a lot of work for the NAACP, she is not a legal advisor to the NAACP, and she does not hold a seat position with the state conference. We do have a legal redress chair. Her name is Lexi Walken. Some of you have already met her, but I just wanted to clarify that. Moving on, I have education. Brother Barlow, would you love to give an update, please?
Sarah, I'm sorry. Before Rob goes, would you like to have Eddie Cook is here? Would you like to go ahead and move him to the front so that way he can leave out and do what he needs to do, or just because he's on? I didn't know if you want to do that, have him sit through the reports and stuff.
Mr. Susser, are you on a time crunch? Would you like to go first, or what works for you?
Well, Madam President, I have a free night, so I'm all yours, whatever you would like.
I love it. Thank you. We're so happy that you can join us today and learn a little bit more about the NAACP. I had planned for you to start a little around 7, so we'll try to move through our chair reports and we'll get to you next.
Oh, you know what? I could come back at 7. How about if I do
Up
that?
to you.
Yeah,
Up to
I'll come
you.
back.
You want to
I'll come back.
stay, you're welcome to stay.
Sure, I'll come back at 7.
Okay. Robert.
Good evening. Good evening. I don't have an education report. Most of everything I've been doing is with Fallon, so I'm pretty sure she'll cover what we've been doing with AXO and everything else. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. I know our health chair is out today. Housing. Ms. Shannon, would you like to give a quick update? And I will also drop your document in the chat box as well.
Okay, and I sent you an updated link as well. If you don't have that, I can drop it. Good evening, everyone. Shannon Hayes, Housing Committee Chair. And just real quick, I have been working on specifically eviction diversion. For those who don't know, I am a certified housing stability legal advocate. Say that 5 times fast or 1 time slow. It's a lot. But in that work, what I do is work with tenants to help them navigate court issues, to understand their rights. And so I have compiled a report on evictions in Black Arizona specific to us, and then also a full state report as well. I am working on a pilot program for the city of Chandler with eviction diversion. And that's the overall housing portion. And then also Nadia Kaligi and I have just been approved by the Department of Real Estate to start a real estate school where we'll be training in fair housing laws as well as landlord tenant laws across the state. So we're really excited about that. And there's something else, Nadia. Wasn't there something else? Oh, we're on the what's it called? Task force for compliance for all real estate transactions within the state. So that's what I've been working on. Quick report. There we are. You'll have the report for Black evictions in Arizona. So read it, share it, and if you have any questions, just let me know.
Thank you, Ms. Shannon. We did drop the eviction report in the chat box for you. If you're unable to open it, there is also one in the newsletter that went out yesterday and today. And then Shannon, can you drop your email address in the chat box for folks if they have any questions for you? Moving on, we'll move into policy. Ms. Shawana, I know you have news, ma'am, so would you like to update our members?
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, NAACP, Shawana Bagley, Political Action Chair. And so I am really excited to share with us about a mock legislative session. So one of the things I think, hope that you all will see in this space is that our goal is really to provide members with experiences, exposures, educations, right, that support our ability to engage successfully with the political process. And some of you have heard me say before that my top experience in this space this far has been to go down and sit in the Capitol, sit in the gallery, observe legislators doing their work, right? And so I think it's one of the coolest things on earth. At this point, I am still open to being impressed more, right? But at this point, I think it's just important to see them doing the work that we called and invited them to do, we elected them to do for us, right? And so excited to share that we're partnering with Representative Blackman to have, if you will, a day in the life of a legislator. Right now, we're looking at June 13. So expect to save the date, mark your calendars now. Please take some time off from work if you need to do that. But this day is going to include things like a Capitol tour, a How a Bill Becomes a Law workshop. So we will get the practice of drafting and dropping our own bills. There's going to be a mock committee hearing, right, where those bills are heard in committee, mock committee, but debated, amended, right, that kind of thing. There'll be a mock floor session where that bill is further debated before being vetoed in that particular chamber. And then there will be lunch because it's a big day, right? So again, my thought is in these times where there's just so much happening in the policy space, it is really important for us to understand what this aspect of their work, right, the work that we elected these legislators to do is, so that we may encourage them to act in our best interest, right? I truly believe that if we don't know what their role is, we cannot hold them accountable. So please mark your calendars for June 13. More to come. I'm going to be there. I hope to see you there, and keep a lookout for that. The last thing I'll share with us is around the SAVE Act. So Lexi and I have been following the SAVE Act, which is, largely referred to as this voter integrity order. And so for those who don't know, SAVE stands for Safeguard American Voter Eligibility. There are a number of components to this, including a proof of citizenship requirement. And I think just based on what I've seen, this is the piece of that act that's discussed the most. The citizenship requirement is probably the most concerning because there's 2 documents that satisfy this requirement for people born in the United States, and that's a birth certificate and a passport. You do need both. And so we know that many people don't have passports, specifically, people of color for various reasons. We know for various reasons, people also don't always have their birth certificates. If you do have your birth certificate and your passport, and your last name is now different from your surname, so if you got married or if you just changed it, there's most likely going to be a gap that impacts that ability to vote. So Lexi and I are working on what a conversation with us would look like in that space, and it's going to be based on what we understand right now and what's available to us at our next member meeting. Questions, thoughts, concerns for me? Yep, you got it. Another reason to be aware, VP Miller, right? There's so many things that hang on the balance here.
You said, I don't owe any, I just know about it.
Well,
Okay.
we believe you. We believe you. We get it. Other
Um,
questions, thoughts, additions, Madam President?
No, I'm looking forward to all the work that you're doing, Ms. Shawana, because it's so important that our people be civically engaged, and not just civically engaged, but responsibly engaged, right? And so we're
Yes.
really trying to make sure that everyone has access to the same knowledge. And so I'm looking forward to the mock session. I hope that we have an age range of people who want to come and be present and take part in that. So June 13th, mark your calendars now. We'll make sure that a save the date goes out soon.
Yes,
But thank you, Ms. Shawana.
absolutely. Thank you.
I'm gonna do veterans real quick because Miss Daisha is in school. She's in class tonight. Miss Deja is doing a lot. All of our chairs are doing a lot, actually, but she is like leading the effort when it comes to veterans. And we have hit I think, our first snag. She was set to do a veterans fair with the VA, I believe, and a couple days ago they pulled the event because the NAACP supports DEI, and so she is having conversations around that. But I'm sure it's more to come. It's certainly it's going to be more to come. So, but we'll keep everybody updated on that. Miss Nadia, do you have anything before I hand it over to Miss Fallon?
Yes, we actually, hello, Madam President, and amazing team working together. With Vice President Miller, we went and secured a location for the Freedom Fund fundraiser that's going to be happening October 16th at the Wright House in Mesa. And I took some pictures and videos, and I will send them to you directly so that you can, if you'd like to share them with everybody. I just realized that I thought I sent them to you, but I haven't. And just looking at different Juneteenth events that are going on and what cities are continuing and what cities are not, so that we can dive in and help where they're not, and to make sure that it is celebrated and honored. So downtown Mesa is one of them. So I'll let you know about the rest. That's all I have.
Thank you, Miss Nadia. Thank you. And I think we are going to probably get a shock, right, to see what cities are going to continue to fight the good fight and which ones are going to walk away from it. So it's unfortunate, but I think I'd rather know where the snakes lay.
Absolutely.
And who was doing it because it was performative rather than something that they truly valued. So thank you for tracking those and keeping us updated.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Fallon, come on, ma'am. I know you got all the things to tell us.
Hello. Are you guys able to hear me well? Oh, what about now? Are you able to hear me well now? Okay. So hopefully my audio does well throughout this. Um, there's a lot. The youth have been very active as they always are. Um, to go back just a little bit, we did take our youth at the beginning of March on the Beat tour. That was at ASU, which was incredibly important to us because we have our newly reactivated ASU NAACP chapter, and their president, Awa Depot. She's been extremely active with getting the chapter back up and running and active at ASU. So we took our youth there. Then our next big task was focused on compliance and getting all of our youth chapters compliance, which we are, and working towards elections, which are happening actually this weekend. Most of the youth elections are going to be happening on the 26th. So we made it just in time to have at least 7 of our chapters participate in elections. Additionally, earlier in the month, we were invited to a celebrity basketball game by our health chair, Gwen. Thank you, Gwen. She's always looking out for our youth and opportunities for them. But all in all, what we've been spending the majority of our time on is we have a pretty big conference coming up on April 30th. We have the BSU NAACP Youth and College Unity Conference that's going to be at Phoenix College on April 30th. That is a huge event for us for a couple different reasons. Because our AXO platform is going to be reactivated at that college. We have had we just counted them the other night. It increased a little bit today. We have 16 different AXO participants. Every category is represented. Our amazing education chair, Robert Barlow, he has raised the funds for us to be able to award all these students, and then also have the funding to be able to take them to the national convention in North Carolina in July. So we will officially, at the very least, be taking those 6 students that participate in AXO. Additionally, that conference is super important because the originator, one of the founders of AXO here in Arizona, Dr. Dawson, she will be participating in something that I love. Her granddaughter is also participating in the AXO competition. So very full circle moment with NAACP and NAACP Youth and College Division. Also with that event, we will be honoring Dr. Westenberg. He is one of the originators of the only NAACP BSU to exist. So what we've decided to do is leverage their existence and their brand to reach out to the students in the schools to create unity. In our eyes, you know, their BSU may be their unity on campus, but the NAACP is their community. And we're making sure that this conference highlights that. And then after that, we will be, as some of you may know, the Maricopa Community Colleges have decided to not host cultural convocations. So I've been working with a few different people, Kenneth Ray at Australia Mountain Community College, as well as Mr. Hampton at FBIC, First Institutional Baptist Church. And they are working on right now putting together a committee of different leaders and leaders and advisors from Maricopa Community Colleges to put together one big cultural convocation at First Institutional Baptist Church. They've already offered the space. Now we're just looking for some other support, you know, as far as putting together a dinner that night, decor, and things of that nature. But I'm hoping that in the next week or so, we'll have all of the details worked out to make sure that even if the colleges are not going to allow them to celebrate their culture and their achievements together, that there's a community organization like ours, and that they have community that's going to do that for them. If they won't do it for us, we will do it for ourselves. So that's what we're working on right now. I could go on for hours about all the things that we're doing, but if you want to follow us and if you
Fallon,
want to know what we're doing, yes,
I'm sorry for interrupting you. Can I throw in a little something? To add
sure.
in. So she mentioned that we have raised money to actually send all of our youth to the conference, but we still need your support. I sent out an email. I sent an email to Madam President and Brother VP. So let's trying to get help with from each branch, individual branch. So I don't know if they sent that out yet, but they will. I appreciate our VP for stepping up to the plate and offering giving us $1,000 to send. So hopefully the other presidents or other people can actually try to contribute as well. But that's our only ask, our last ask. But thank you.
Not
Thank
just
you,
open
Robert.
to the branches and the presidents. If you as an individual wanted to donate to our youth and to AXO, you can. I dropped the donation link in the chat box. You can click it, whatever you have to give. Even if it's not money and you want to donate your time, invest your time in the youth, gladly, they will gladly accept that as well. And then Fallon and Robert, can you both put your emails in the chat box as well? So if folks want to reach out to you on the side, they can do that.
Yes, I would drop that in there right away. I have one more update. If you want to know where the youth are and what they're doing, we did update the website. There is a calendar on there now, and we're keeping that very up to date with our activities past and present and the links if you're interested in joining those events. So you can check the website for our whereabouts. Thank you.
President Meeks.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for all the work with AXO. I know that you all have been working more directly with our youth council advisor, Lorna Ingram, but she's not on this evening. And when we've talked, I had a lot of questions. And so sorry if she sends you lots of questions, they're probably my questions. But what I'm most concerned about is what happens if there is someone who wants to perform or wants to compete in a category and they don't have a competitor. Our concern is we know we have someone that is eager and wants to participate, but my understanding as of this morning was that there is not a competitor for this person to participate. And I know you all know all the details with videos, and we're trying to figure out getting there because of the time in school and all these things. But what are you all planning for that? That would just be helpful to have a clearer understanding. Thank you.
Yes, no problem. Let me know if you're still able to hear me well because my mic is not doing the best. Yes? Okay, thank you. So Lorna and I emailed back and forth about this a little bit. There's two sides. One, I told her because there are people around the state that want to participate, we're completely comfortable with video. And we talked through what it looks like for them to just use the form to submit. And that gentleman, I want to say his name is Anthony, I believe, but that young gentleman is your
Yes.
president. He
Yes,
was an
it is.
amazing sport. Yes, who is an amazing orator, and he's already submitted. He actually submitted early. So I appreciate him for being on top of it. And then additionally, we have, as far as the performance arts and the humanities category, we have more than 4 participants in each of those categories, and we are doing lightning round day of registration. So, we're going to have a conference of a good number of people. We are highly doubting that we're only going to have 1 or even 2 people competing in each of those categories. And right now, all of our committee, which Lorna has probably told you, there's like 26 people on our committee, and anywhere from 12 to 20 of them get on every Wednesday night. We are all collectively tapping on the shoulder, reaching out to youth that we know, and I'm even mass texting, all of our newsletters and all of our youth members, trying to solicit more participation in different categories. But we're positive, we're very hopeful that there will not be a category that doesn't have at least 2 participants. And right now, we're looking to be on track for that.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Does anybody else have questions for Ms. Fallon before VP Miller introduces our guest?
Good evening. I do have a question.
Yes.
Fallon, have you by chance been in touch with Kanisha Sanders at all?
No.
Okay, so if you'll give me a call after this. I have 2 meetings immediately after this. I'm going to have to leave, but if you'll give me a call, I just want to put a little bird in your ear too, as it relates to acknowledging students who are graduating this year. I think, yeah, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I will call
Okay.
you immediately once this call is over. Thank you,
Well,
Dr.
I have
LaFleur.
2 calls. I have 2 calls back to back after this. So, and
Okay.
I'm in New Jersey, so it'll be later, maybe tomorrow morning. Or I don't,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
gonna call late tonight, but it would have to be late.
I got it. I'll text you and see what time works best for
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so
No
much.
problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fallon. VP Miller.
And everyone. First thing I want to say is thank you for all the great work that everybody's doing. Our chairs are phenomenal, this administration. And I'm seeing things that I've never seen before. And I've been a part of the state conference for many years and active in the NAACP for a long time. Not to negate the great work that others have done, but I'm just seeing a lot of new type of work, and it's very exciting for our state. So for those who do not know, the Arizona State Conference is trying to ensure that we put you all in front of individuals who actually govern, make policy, and do things that affect us in our everyday lives. And so in that vein, we have invited our county assessor, Mr. Eddie Cook, into this particular meeting to share with us. And then also you can ask him whatever questions you desire to ask. Also, keep in mind that this is a nonpartisan space. And so our questions are not of a political nature, but our questions are of natures that affect us as individuals living here in the state of Arizona. So Mr. Cook, for those who don't know, was born in Okinawa, Japan. Sarah owns a home in Japan as well. But he was born in Okinawa, Japan. He married his wonderful wife, Jenny. She was his high school sweetheart. I've had the opportunity to meet her and have Bible study with him in his home and share a meal with him. He has 5 children, 4 grandchildren, and he also is a certified glider pilot. I will not get on one of those, but I appreciate his bravery for wanting to be a glider pilot. He enjoys scuba diving, and he does a lot of things with charitable organizations throughout the state and the globe. And so he is a great person to know. He governs our tax assessments for residential property and commercial property in the Maricopa County. And so whatever question you may have about that, please go ahead and get ready to load those up. So I'll turn it over to him. And again, Mr. Cook, we appreciate you being here with us. This is a first for us and a first for you. And so we're so excited to have you with us tonight. So I'll yield the floor to you. Thank you again, sir.
Well, thank you, Pastor Miller, and thank you, Madam Chair, for allowing me to join your wonderful community and just talk a little bit about my role in this elected office. Yes, my mom is Japanese. I was born in the island of Okinawa. I lived my early childhood years there. My dad was in the Air Force, and we just bounced all around the world and got to see many cultures and just many different countries. And just, I think that was just a tremendous blessing for me growing up. When we moved from place to place, you made friends with everybody very quickly because you're about ready to pick up and move again. So to me, it didn't matter, what color, what religion, what education, you wanted to make friends quickly. So that was my life, for many, many years. Um, Before I start, many folks have no clue what the county assessor does. And many times I get labeled as the tax man. And I will share with you, I am not the tax man. That is the county treasurer. The county treasurer is the tax man. I unfortunately enable him to do his job in my role. Um, so I just want to make that clarification first of all. But before I begin, I always like to ask this question to my new friends. When you were growing up and you were dreaming about your dream job when you were in like high school and in college, how many of you thought that your dream job was working in the assessor's office? Can I see a raise of hands of anyone here that thought about that? And that's usually the response I get. No one ever thinks about working in the assessor's office. And it's one of those um, quiet government offices. It should be quiet and never in the news, but I usually get the same kind of response because people would like to be a teacher or a doctor or a firefighter or a police officer. Well, I always dreamed that I wanted to be an astronaut and still want to fulfill that dream. I never dreamed about being the assessor. Um, but unfortunately, a little over 5 years ago, back in the year 2019, the previous assessor was the number one news story in Arizona. You may remember the story. He um, was indicted for human trafficking and is now serving in prison for 11 years for basically selling babies out of the assessor's office. He was an adoption attorney and he got indicted. And that's really unfortunate because when you think about, someone who's serving as a public servant in an elected role, the citizens would like to trust your government officials, especially the ones that you vote for. And unfortunately, he did not do that. So when at the time, I was serving on the Gilbert Town Council. I was the vice mayor at the time, and I was approached to consider getting the appointment to finish up his term. And of course, I'm thinking, well, who wants to be the assessor? Not me. I mean, there's got to be somebody else. But I was approached by some of the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. They said, Eddie, with your business background in leadership, and you come from a technology world, and you come from, local government, and you understand, how to use the data from the assessor as part of your budgeting, you would be a wonderful individual to come into the assessor's office and kind of fix things because it was very, very broken. So by the grace of God, and my wife still today doesn't believe that I got selected to be the assessor, and I took over the reins of the assessor's office, and it was very, very much a mess. The previous assessor was never in the office, maybe once a month, and it was very unfortunate. Now, then I got elected in 2020 and then just got reelected again in 2024. So it's been a tremendous joy to serve at this greater capacity. And I've been able to restore the public trust and honor back in the office. And it's just been a great opportunity. I look at the office as a very nonpartisan office. Even though it's a partisan elected office, it truly is nonpartisan, very similar to being in local government. It's a nonpartisan role. And if I could change the system, I would. I would make these countywide offices nonpartisan because you serve everybody. You serve no matter what party they're from. I value homes and commercial property, and there shouldn't be a partisan slant to that valuation because the role is basically following state law and the state constitution on what the assessor does. You just execute on all the laws related to valuation and property taxes. The one thing that I learned quickly was how many property tax statutes Arizona has, because I have to build a lot of business cases and business processes to those statutes. And I'm going to say that in Arizona, we have probably the most complex set of property tax laws in the country. And my office, my role is to be fair and equitable for all property owners. And our laws and statutes related to property taxes makes it very difficult for me to actually fulfill being fair and equitable across all property owners. And it is very sad that I've come to now learn over the last 5 years how complex the system is. And I will tell you, if I did have a magic wand, I'd get rid of the system today. It's not fair and it's not equitable because of years and years of legislation where legislators have, been what I would call influenced by special interest groups, or they've been influenced by their party of influence. And then, as you know, the majority of our legislature for many years have been Republically, the majority. So there's been a lot of what I would call a lot of Republican isms, as it relates to these, what I call picking winners and losers in our property tax codes. So it's very unfortunate that I get to see this and, and have to execute on good law and execute on bad law. And that's just been my role. And again, I'm in an executive role as the county assessor. Now, I will tell you that over the last 4 years, in understanding our complex property tax laws, that I and my office as well have been running bills that is providing what I call reform, clarification, technical correction in our property tax laws, but also to look at the most vulnerable in our community, which tends to be the folks that are in poverty, those folks that are senior citizens that are in a fixed income, those folks that are veterans with disabilities. I have, in my office, have passed bills to benefit those property owners. And to me, it shouldn't be my role to do that. It should be the role of the legislators to be able to work with their community, understand the issues, but they're not doing that. They're focusing on things like elections or something that's broken that's not broken. So we've taken it upon ourselves to, speak on behalf of all the property owners and be advocates of that. So that's something that we've been doing. And we've actually had 3 bills this session signed by the governor. And it's really very exciting to do that because, I have to play the politics and basically share with the Democrat Party and the Republican Party that the bills that we're running are nonpartisan, that these are good bills that should be, liked by both sides of the aisle. And what we found is that I think we found the magic secret sauce, we'll call it, to make that happen. So we've been very, very successful in doing that. So we've kind of figured that out. We are currently running a bill right now, and you may have heard this in the news from time to time. And those senior citizens that are up late at night watching TV and they see these commercials where they talk about your home being stolen. And it's called title deed fraud. Here in Arizona, there is no law to prevent title deed fraud. So an individual can actually file a fraudulent, what we call quick claim deed. They can forge your signature, they can forge your name, they can forge the notary stamp, and they can submit that to the county recorder's office. The county recorder does not verify or validate that the people that submit that fraudulent quick claim deed, they just record it. And it gets recorded. It looks very official. No one scrutinizes the document. And then the criminal will then proceed to sell your home, and the home gets sold. And then the person who owns the home has a very, very difficult time to recover the home. So today in Arizona, the crime for filing a fraudulent quitclaim deed. Now you have to remember, most of us work all our lives to buy a home. It's probably is literally the most valuable asset that we own. We spend our entire life working for that day where we own our home. So the penalty for the crime of filing a fraudulent deed in the recorder's office today is a misdemeanor. And that's the county prosecutors will not prosecute on misdemeanors. No one usually does. And if you local government, their prosecutors are, doing like traffic tickets, but they don't have the expertise on fraud. So because in Arizona is considered a misdemeanor, these crimes are happening. So we have this bill that we are trying to change the penalty from a misdemeanor to a felony, so that it could be a deterrent for these criminals not to do this. It doesn't solve the problem, but it hopefully, will make the criminal think twice and so forth. The real way to solve this problem is going to take a lot of work. And this summer, my office is hosting a title deed fraud summit. We're going to invite all the legislators to show up on both sides of the aisle. We're going to invite a bunch of stakeholders. We're going to invite a bunch of victims. But these crimes of these criminals that go after these properties affect the most vulnerable in our community. It's mostly senior citizens. And we know that our parents and our grandparents are prime targets for this kind of activity. So that's kind of what we're doing. You would think the legislators would be figuring this out, but they're not. But so we're pushing this on behalf of our property owners. So that's kind of what we do at the legislature and so forth, and trying to be an advocate for property owners. The assessor office, it really just values properties every year, and we have right now, Maricopa County is the 4th largest county in the country. We have 1.8 million properties that my team has to assess every year. And I only have a team of 300 individuals to do that every year. It's a very, very complex task, but we have to do it fair and equitably. And we're able to do that very successfully. A lot of the business practices that I brought into the assessor's office 5 years ago have been implemented, and we've streamlined, and we've actually have made it I've made it a high performance team that's very efficient, very effective, and I'm very, very proud of the team that I have. And I'm always recruiting. I'm always ready to recruit anyone that wants to consider to have a professional job. There's great benefits at the county, that you could have, from health insurance to a pension plan. I always fight for everyone's pay to be the highest that they can be. 2 years ago, we won an award that we were considered one of the top employers in Arizona. We were the only government agency to get that award 2 years ago. So again, very, very proud of my team, very excited to provide that service. Now, the assessment that we provide is critical for like public education. Our public schools uses our data because they live on property taxes. 50% of the state budget goes to public education. And our value needs to be as accurate as possible because it supports public education. It also can support public safety, like police and fire. It also can support infrastructure, like the roads that we drive on, um, water and sewer and trash pickup. Our data is used for those policymakers, like city council members and governing boards, like at school boards. They use our data so that they can calculate what they call the property tax rate to collect the property taxes. So we want to make sure that we are in good communication with all of those different governing bodies that have the taxation authority, to help provide those services that we need in our community. So that's really kind of the simple version of what our office does. It's again, it's it could be very complex to talk about it, but I try to make it as simple as possible. Now, I do want to talk about two other things here that might be of importance. And those are programs that my office provides for those folks that are senior citizens. We have a program called the Senior Valuation Protection Plan that can freeze your valuation for 3 years, which could be a big benefit because if you freeze your valuation, there's a likelihood that your property taxes won't go up for 3 years. And many, many seniors, when I go to visit, are not aware of that program. There is some qualifications that are required, but most seniors are not aware of that. So another program in my office that many folks are not aware of are veterans that have a disability. A couple years ago, we ran a bill here in Arizona that the voters voted on back in 2022, and it got voter approved, which restored here in Arizona veterans that received a disability from the VA would be recognized in Arizona. Before that, Arizona didn't recognize that. You would have to go to another doctor to get basically certified again. So we ran a bill so that now Arizona recognizes the VA disability so that these veterans can receive relief on property taxes. And so that's a huge win for those veterans. The other one is if you lost a spouse. If you lost a spouse, you can also qualify for, a reduction in your property taxes. Many widows and widowers are not aware of this program. But again, the assessor office can provide that. And then lastly, if you are a non-veteran, just a regular citizen with a 100% disability, you could also qualify as well. So I shared this with you. Our website, the Maricopa County Assessor website, has a lot of this information there, and you can fill out the applications online and submit them. And I just share this with you because you may know, again, a parent or a grandparent or aunt, uncle that's not aware of this. And these could be some huge benefits, for them. Well, I shared a lot of information here. I would love to leave a lot of time, for questions,
You do
and
have a
would love to answer.
few.
Okay.
You do have a few questions. Okay, so the first is, Assessor Cook, can you give us an idea of what a partisan bill would look like in this space?
All right. So here's an example. Recently, last year, there was a bill that was run by the Republicans. And that bill basically said those that are renting a home, renters, what we call long-term renters, no longer have to pay the sales tax for renting. So if you're a renter, you no longer pay a sales tax. That was Republican run. And when that happens, I'll give an example. Here in the city of Phoenix, the rental sales tax generated about $80 million for the city of Phoenix. Now, the city of Phoenix is going to raise the sales tax to cover for that loss with that, and so forth. So that's what I would call a partisan bill. Here in Gilbert, where I live, that loss was $14 million. And Gilbert recently increased the sales tax a 0.5%. The outrage in the community here in Gilbert, it was probably the number one thing they talked about. But again, it's related to it's my office. I have to have renters file an application. The people that are renting your homes or properties, they have to register those properties with my office and say this is a rental property. And then we provide that to the municipalities. Well, now, I still take the registration, but there's no longer rental sales tax that go to the municipalities. So that would be considered, a partisan bill. Now, I get it. The intent was we have a housing shortage, and if we can make it more affordable by eliminating the sales tax of rentals, I understand that. That may sound like, a good idea, but you're now going to redistribute the tax burden to others that are not renting. And they typically will land on property owners. And many cities now are thinking about increasing their property taxes, their property tax rates. So again, these are things that I see. If you're going to be fair and equitable, then be fair and equitable. Now I picked basically a winner and a loser out of that kind of a bill. So again, it is, when these things come up, I can see both sides, but that's kind of the things that I see related to property taxes where they start dicing things up with that.
Thank
Again, it's
you.
just an example, just one example.
Yeah,
with
but I
it.
think it was a very clear example of, and honestly, I'm surprised to hear that that was a Republican-run bill, for obvious reasons. But in relation to rentals and secondary homes, I know that there was a lawsuit that Maricopa County got roped into, that resulted in a court ruling, basically that the county incorrectly assessed property taxes for certain homes. Can you tell us a little bit about that and like I think to my understanding, the county is supposed to issue refunds to certain folks who own those properties. But can you tell us a little bit more about what that looks like?
Yeah, I can share that with you. So this lawsuit happened with the previous assessor. I kind of inherited this problem when I got in the office. So the premise of the lawsuit was that residential homes have two classifications, and they're what we call class 3, class 4. Class 3 is considered your primary residence, and class 4 is considered your non-primary residence, which typically are rental homes. The assessor values property based upon current use, not and the classes of property tend to be related to use. So even though class 3 is primary residence and class 4 is considered non-primary or rental, the use is you have people in the home. It, doesn't matter if you're renting the home, there's people that live in it. If I have a primary home, I live in it. So the use is people are living in the home. When the lawsuit was filed, the lawsuit was basically saying that when you switched your rental from class 4 to class 3, like I'm no longer going to rent it, I'm going to live in it now as my primary. The plaintiffs argued in court that that would also initiate this, what we call a very interesting special rule. And that special rule was to basically reset the valuation of your property. Now, here in Arizona, our property taxes are based upon a number, a valuation number called the limited property value. Don't ask me to go down and chat and try to educate everyone in 2 minutes. It's very complex. Everyone thinks your property taxes are based upon the full cash value of your home, and that tends to be kind of the market value that you see like on Zillow. But in Arizona, all properties have what's called a limited property value, and that's usually a value that's much, much less than your full cash value. It's a statutory kind of valuation number. Back in 2012, the voters of Arizona voted and approved the way the property taxes were calculated, and all property taxes in Arizona are now moved from full cash value to limited property value, which is a much lower number. And that began in 2015. So we've now have been in this new kind of valuation methodology for 10 years. So when the plaintiffs filed this lawsuit back in 2016, they found that language in the statute was not clear because this was a voter approved initiative that got approved, and the legislators never went into the other statutes to provide clarity and cleanup. And they had some very smart attorneys, and they were able to convince the judge that when you change from 3 to 4 or 4 to 3 on their classification, the assessor has to reset the valuation, the limited property, and it was to be lower. And they won the case. But that's not what the assessor does. The assessor only values based upon use. Switching from 3 to 4 or 4 to 3 is not a change of use. The Maricopa County attorneys did not argue it very well back in 2016, 2017. They went through a whole bunch of appeals and so forth. When I inherited this back in 2021 and understood the ruling, I ran a bill in 2022 that basically provided clarity in statute so that this could never happen again. And it got passed by the legislature. So that lawsuit could never happen. But I can't undo what happened back in 2016. So that's the premise of the suit, was that the judge, in my opinion, made a horrible ruling. And that ruling affected like every public school here in Maricopa County. They had to give back monies to the county treasurer, and the county treasurer redistributed those monies to a lot of folks that were part of the class action lawsuit. And that was just very, very unfortunate that that ever happened.
Mr. Assessor, so did that only happen in Maricopa?
Yep,
Or
only
did
happened
that,
in Maricopa. Yeah, only happened in Maricopa. All the other 14 counties were very afraid that that the plaintiffs were going to go after their counties. And now we're past the statute of limitation this year, and they can't go after them. But they are very, very afraid that they were next on the list with the ruling. So.
I was muted. It's unfortunate. I have two more questions for you.
Okay.
The first is, what percentage of taxes come from residential properties and what percentage come from commercial properties in Maricopa?
So right now, just give you an example. Right now, out of the 1.8 million parcels of property in Maricopa, 1.4 million are residential. So that means about 400,000 make up, commercial, they make up nonprofits, they make up, agriculture for farmers. So the commercial properties are a very, very small percentage. I'm going to give you a very interesting example of, again, where I think about being fair and equitable. So everyone may have heard of up in North Phoenix, the Taiwanese semiconductor facility. It is literally one of the largest construction projects in the country. It's at the same level as the Intel campuses in Chandler. I mean, that's how large this is. They're going to manufacture a lot of computer chips, for lots and lots of different products that we will use, like from refrigerators to cars, to our phones, you name it. But in order to attract that company to Arizona, there were incentives that the state government and other entities, City of Phoenix, provided, where the Taiwanese company will not be responsible for paying their fair share of property taxes. And it's really unfortunate because I always feel like, and again, it really affects the public school system, because they would have been assessed by my office pretty high, and they get basically a free ride. And it's painful to see that. And there's nothing I could do about it. The federal government got involved in this. They actually made the entire parcel a foreign trade zone. And that's an abuse of power, in my opinion. A foreign trade zone, I understand what it's meant to be, but it's meant to be a building, like one building that will hold international parts for some period of time, but not the whole campus. I mean, it's really an abuse of power. But again, I don't have any authority to make that change. I've actually met with our congressional delegation here in Arizona to talk about it, and I think it's, deaf ears. They don't want to deal with it. So, but again, it's just back to that being fair and equitable in my role when I see that winners and losers are picked, yeah, is really unfortunate. So, but the commercial does not carry the bulk of property taxes, is actually residential homes. They make up the majority of property taxes. And again, the burden is placed on homeowners.
Thank you for that, Mr. Susser. I think that I can safely speak for everyone here when I say that we appreciate that you want to hold multi-million, potentially billion-dollar businesses accountable the same way that we hold our residents accountable for their taxes. So, as you said, that could have been a great source of income for many folks in our education
Yeah.
facilities that are in need right now. So,
And I'll give you another example, which is another thing that I've seen. ASU, Dr. Crow. Dr. Crow, being the president of ASU, is a land Mongol. He's all about real estate, and he will build facilities. And, because it's a state building or state property, it gets exempt because it's a government exemption. But he will have private companies for profit lease his spaces that he has built, and they avoid property taxes. And we actually went after one of these companies a couple years ago up in Scottsdale. There's the Sky Song property, which is owned by ASU and the Board of Regents. I went after them, got rid of their educational exemption. Now it's waiting for a big lawsuit. He's a very powerful man, but they did not fight me. But again, these are the things that I see that are happening. And again, it's just, again, if I had a magic wand, I'd get rid of the system because it's not fair.
yeah.
Unfortunately.
Thank you for fighting for the people.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. My last question for you is about veterans. As a veteran myself, and I know that we have a number of veterans on the call tonight, I think in my experience at Arizona, despite how many veterans and retired veterans that we have here, have less policies that are veteran supportive than other states. Even Utah has, I believe, more supportive policies in place. So when I ran for office in 2020, one of the things that I ran on was property taxes for disabled veterans and veterans in general. And one of the things that veterans across the board felt like was that they were okay with paying property taxes if their property taxes went to veteran-specific programs, right? Because I know a lot of people talk about there should be property tax exemptions for veterans. I do agree with that. And also, if we were to keep paying property taxes, but give those to veteran organizations, not the VA, that's very separate and they have their own pot of money, right? But if we were to give those to women or men who have military sexual trauma or other things that they've experienced, I think that a lot of veterans would be really open to and supportive of that. What are your thoughts on what it looks like for Arizona to be more supportive to veterans?
I love your idea. It sounds wonderful, and it should be brought up again in the future as something that would benefit those folks, and you would apply directly to that. I mean, if you think about here in Arizona, maybe everyone's heard of the ESAs, where you as a taxpayer can redirect your funds to the ESA program. It can be used for schools or students, private schools or charter schools or whatever. So we do have vehicles like that. So you would think, well, why not have a vehicle specifically for veterans, right? So I think it should be something that will be brought up. There is a bill that's running now in the legislature. Representative Carbone, I can't remember the bill number. His plan, and I support it, is that if you are a veteran with a disability, his thought is you don't pay for any property taxes at all. I mean, that's what his bill is. I'm not sure how far it's getting with that, but that's one of the bills that I know that's kind of currently running. I believe to just basically, you served our country, and you have, a disability. Um, and I think the idea is, you know, we shouldn't be asking you to pay for property taxes. So again, I'm not sure where that's going, but I do know it's in the Senate. I think it came from the House. It went over to the Senate. I'm not sure where it's at now with that.
Oh, it looks like VP Miller was able to hop back on, and it was something that we talked with a number of legislators about. So
Right.
hopefully, it's a forward movement for veterans in general in Arizona. So hopefully we'll see some action with that. Mr. Assessor, you have given us so much tonight that I don't think that even myself, I don't think that I was prepared for all of the information that you were going to give us. Then I appreciate so much that you were willing to hop on a call with us, with our members, in this safe space for all of us, and to just really educate us on the things that are happening at the assessor level, right? And I'm assuming that every county assessor kind of follows the same policies and guidelines that you do, maybe more or less equitable than you are. But we appreciate the work that you're doing for Maricopa County, and hopefully other assessors are able to follow in your footsteps. Do you have anything that you would like to share with our members before we close for the night? Does anybody have any last minute questions for our county assessor?
Well, I would love if when you talk about the youth, I would love that the youth would consider, a career in the assessor's office, So if you were to spread, the word out to your community, and the youth were to, consider, some professional employment, that the assessor office might be on their list. And if anyone wanted to chat with me a little further, I'm going to put my email into the chat,
Thank you.
and
I think
please email me, and would love to, follow up with any of you about that.
if you take interns, that would be a great
We do.
start. Or wonderful.
We do.
And we've got people who will touch base with you
Yep.
100%.
Yeah, we do.
And also, like, if you're ever interested in doing like a day of shadowing, where our young people can come and they can shadow
Oh,
you
yeah,
or
yeah,
shadow
yeah.
somebody, that would be wonderful as well.
Yep, that would be great.
I think VP Miller has a question or something he'd like to
Okay.
share.
Hey, I hope everybody can hear me. I know you can't really see me. I'm in Phoenix downtown now. But I just want to say again, thank you so much, Mr. Cook, for being here with us. I appreciate your friendship and all the conversation that we have. Serious conversations about things that affect all people. So I thank you for being willing to be in this space. And again, the NAACP, our goal and our desire is to deal with all elected officials, regardless of party, to make sure we advocate for people, our people, in a more equitable Arizona. So again, I just want to thank you personally. I want to thank President Tyree for allowing me to extend these various invitations, and it's just a blessing to have you on. And I hope that everybody got something out of your participation being here with us. So thank you again, sir. That's
Yeah,
all.
thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. You're welcome to stay on with us if you like. We've got a few minutes left. If not, I hope that you have a wonderful evening, and
You as-
hopefully you'll join us again in the future.
Yeah, anytime. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna move quickly through some of our last moments together. I want to remind everybody about the state conference election. if you want to run against me, you're welcome to run against me. If not, we do have seats that are open. We have vice president seats, VP 2 and 3. We also have the secretary seat open. Our chairs will remain in their roles for another 2 years. If you're interested in running, your nomination forms need to be sent to the state conference elections committee by June 15th, I believe. And everybody who has submitted a nomination form, they will go to national no later than June 30th. And then the election will be, I think, November or December. So if you're interested, please consider running for the state conference. We're looking for new ideas. We're looking for active chairs, active members, folks who are ready to do the work. So please consider joining the state conference. Award nominations, we are still taking award nominations up until the end of May. The nomination form I just put in the chat box for you. Once we close nominations, we'll then compile all of the results and then put it in another Google form where the community as a whole can vote for the people that you all have nominated. We really want to make sure that we're not just keeping nominations within the NAACP community. We want to make sure that we are highlighting community members that are doing all the civil rights work, who are trying to advance our communities as a whole. And so we're doing things a little bit different this year. Convention, just a quick reminder that the hotels are expensive. Even though National has discount codes with a number of hotels, I looked at 2 rooms for myself and the VP for 5 days, and it was over $3,000. So we will not be getting a hotel. We opted to do a home rental through Vrbo. We chose not to do Airbnb because the owner, the founder of Airbnb has sided with the administration, and it's doing harm to our community. So we are encouraging you, if you want to save money, find a rental home, but look at Vrbo or one of the other providers that there are. Again, if you are open to supporting the youth going to the convention, we did drop the donation link in the chat box. It is also in the newsletter along with Brother Robert's email to the branches and to members about supporting the youth in AXO. And next month's speaker, we'll be having a medical malpractice lawyer join us, and he'll kind of go over again what his role is as a medical malpractice lawyer, but also really educate people on what information and what documentation you should be keeping when you are having visits with doctors, and what the statute is on timelines and things like that. And then in June, so that's May, in June, I believe that we have the executive director from UFW, UW99, one of our unions executive directors will be joining us to kind of talk about how unions are being impacted by this administration, and what we can do to support them and help stay sane, I think. I don't know. And with that, I want to open it up to the community. If anybody has anything that they want to share with our members, now is the time.
Hey, sir, it is VP Miller again. Let me step out where I'm at. I wanted to share that there is something going on with the Mesa Park Rangers, and you guys will probably be hearing this in the media in the next couple of days. There was a group of park rangers that called themselves the Goons or Goonies and created a patch, and they were assaulting homeless individuals in Mesa Parks as well as African Americans by design. One of the park rangers was recently arrested. I think his hearing is on Monday. So the city is behind it as far as investigating it. And then the police department is also investigating it for criminal charges. So I just want to let everybody know that. So we are aware of that. The NAACP is aware of that. We also have been a part of conversations for the police shooting in Chandler. The family does have representation at this moment. We did view the video as well, very disturbing. But I just want to let you guys know that the state conference is involved in a lot of these things that are happening. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me or President Tyree about what's happening. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, VP Miller. And I want to take a moment to really acknowledge VP Miller and really any of our other legal redress chairs who have to watch the videos of these shootings, right? It's traumatizing enough for us to see them on social media pretty much daily. But when you're sitting in a room with the family of sometimes a survivor and sometimes a deceased member, it's really hard and it takes toll on you mentally and emotionally. So I really want to extend my gratitude to VP Miller and the other legal redress chairs who have to sit and watch those things. Does anybody else have anything that they'd like to share with our members? Going once, going twice. Okay, may I get a motion to adjourn, please?
Madam President, I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Thank you. May I get a second?
I
Second.
second it.
Thank you, my friends. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We hope that you learned something tonight. We hope that you appreciate what the state conference is trying to do and making sure that you have every educational tool at your disposal. We want you to be engaged and informed, and we appreciate that you gave us 2 hours of your time tonight. So thank you so much, and we will see you in May.
Thank you.